Good morning. It is September 24th, Tuesday. This is Terry Allen, and I'm a real progressive, and I can go into that. I have a video that I did a while back about what a real progressive is, so I won't get into that now, but Patrick, Ben David, PBD, they had a video this morning, and they were talking about tariffs and capitalism and free trade and all that, and they've got it all wrong, totally wrong. Here's the situation: is that when the United States was formed, one of the reasons that our founding fathers broke away from England, one of the reasons, besides taxation without representation and religious freedom and freedom of speech, etc., was the fact that the British, the East India Company, which basically ran England, were dumping products on the colonies below cost of production, below our cost of production, so that our industries would fail and that we would become more dependent on the British, and we would also go into poverty and would be more easily controlled. So when companies started to do this shift, mostly under Reagan, where they started sending manufacturing to China and other places like that where they had cheaper labor, was specifically so that the CEOs and the stockholders would make more money. They would bring the products back in the United States and sell them for the same price that they were selling them for before, but they were making more profit because they were killing jobs in the United States and they were giving these jobs to China. Now, Mexico is a perfect example as well, because I used to go down to Mexico a lot, and I was down there, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And one of the things you got to realize is that the minimum wage in Mexico is 57 cents an hour, which is roughly about $5 a day. Now, a Mexican worker cannot live on $5 a day in Mexico. Cannot. So that's why the poverty is just terrible down there. Okay? And that's why they want to come up here. And also that's why the American companies want to put their manufacturing in Mexico, because they can produce a product cheaper, but the workers are the ones that suffer. And so what happens, it's a vicious circle, because what you're doing is you're actually destroying families and labor here in this United States. And these people that are losing their jobs end up taking jobs at a huge cut, usually 30, 40%, if they have to go to work for Home Depot or Walmart or something like that. So many companies have gone to Mexico and China to build their products cheaper, that the United States has become dependent on the cheap products because our wages are cheaper, are lower. We can't afford now to buy products that were made in America, which before we used to be able to. Just like we used to have, before there were credit cards, we had what was called layaway, where if you wanted to buy something that was a lot of money, you would purchase a partial payment, and then the store would keep the product until you paid it off, and then you would take it home. Well, what they did, came up with this beautiful idea of credit cards where they could charge interest, so that the people that needed the instant gratification could go and buy something, bring it home, and then pay extra money to the banks for the interest, to have that luxury. So they're talking about John Deere, etc., etc. The workers are the ones that are injured in this scheme, basically. And so that's why you've got the Rust Belt, and you've got places like in Detroit, which are completely devastated. These cities were just destroyed. And then they're talking about, well, we need to lower the minimum wage. See, there's hidden costs here, and when you do these things, because when you drive Americans into poverty, the government then has to come in and give them welfare and food stamps and aid, which is not calculated into this formula. And so that's what minimum wage should be, is to raise the wage levels up to a point where the government doesn't have to provide food stamps and welfare anymore. And you get rid of that hidden cost, which is a lot. And so places like Walmart, I remember when my daughter went there to apply for a job, is they gave her forms to fill out to apply for food stamps and welfare in the packet with the application. So there's a big problem here, and you've got to understand how deep this goes. And that's what tariffs are about, is to create an incentive to keep your business in the United States. And so what will have to happen is that the CEOs and the top people in the company are no longer going to make multi-million-dollar salaries or stock options with the company. No longer is that going to happen. And that's where you've got this 300-400% disparity between the American workers and the CEOs. And that's where that has come from. So you've got to understand that tariffs are a good thing. Tariffs were used by the founding fathers. Alexander Hamilton in particular wrote several papers about it. And then you've got a couple of books that he wrote. One of them was on manufacturing and the benefits of tariffs for that. So, and the overall benefit is for the American labor force and the American families to have a better life, to be able to purchase the things that they need, to be able to put their kids through college, etc., all these things. And it adds up being a net benefit, okay, the tariffs do. And so that's why I am for protectionism. There is no such thing as free trade, because it's unfair trade typically. So that's what I wanted to talk about. I'm going to do an article on Substack that goes into more detail about that. So anyway, I got to go. Hope you guys, hope that makes it a little more understanding. Okay, take care. Let's try to avoid World War III, get these psychos out of office, and somehow get Trump in and keep him from being shot. Keep these lunatics in the deep state and the oligarchy from killing Trump. All right, take care. See ya. Peace.